3 days had passed since the banquet. 3 days since he had sat. Nobody had told him how to unengage and apparently become engaged to the most dangerous.
Diplomat Soren Vale had spent 3 days reviewing every available resource on Vethari betrothal customs, and the news was uniformly bad. The betrothal, according to 3 independent sources, 1 cultural anthropology text, and a very apologetic Concordat cultural liaison named Petra who had been assigned to manage the diplomatic fallout, was binding. Not legally enforceable in the sense that he could be compelled to proceed against his will. The Concordat had strong positions on that. But socially and diplomatically binding in the sense that refusing it would constitute a significant insult to the House of Kael, the most politically significant of the Vethari noble houses, and would produce consequences for the Concordat's trade relationship with Vethari space that the liaison office was already deeply concerned about. How specific are the consequences? Soren had asked Petra on day 1. Culturally, Petra had said in the tone of someone choosing words very carefully, refusing a Vethari betrothal that has been accepted by both parties. I didn't accept it, Soren said. I ate the bread. Eating the ceremonial bread at a Vethari noble banquet constitutes formal acceptance, Petra said. I'm so sorry. It was in the cultural briefing. Section 14. He had read the cultural briefing in sections 1 through 12. On day 4, Princess Vaen of the House of Kael arrived at the diplomatic compound. She was in person exactly as she had been at the banquet, which he had been hoping would not be the case, because sometimes people were different in person than across a dining table, and he had been constructing a theory that the banquet version of her was more intimidating than the real one. She arrived with 2 personal guards and no diplomatic escort, which the compound security chief noted was either extremely confident or carrying a message about relative importance. And she wore the same combination of armor and formal attire that had apparently been the thing that told him she was the most dangerous person at the table, and which had not communicated this clearly enough. She was brought to the small meeting room they used for informal diplomatic engagements. He was waiting for her. He had prepared 4 opening statements and had identified the most tactful one. She sat down across from him, those pale ice blue eyes assessing him with the specific attention of someone who had also spent 3 days preparing for this meeting. You read the cultural briefing, she said. Selectively. Sections 1 through 12, he said. Section 14 covers betrothal customs at noble banquets, she said. I understand that now, he said. The bread was on the table you sat at, she said. The seat you chose. I chose the wrong seat, he said. I didn't know it was wrong. She looked at him steadily. I know, she said. He looked at her. This was not the response he had prepared for. You know, he said. I was watching when you sat down, she said. I saw the moment you chose. You chose it because it was the nearest available seat, and you were carrying documentation, and the table to your left was occupied. She looked at him with those ice blue eyes. You were not trying to sit at my table. You were trying to find somewhere to put your papers. He absorbed this. And you still let the betrothal proceed. I could have intervened at the bread service, she said. I chose not to. He looked at her for a long moment. Why? He said. She was quiet for a moment with the specific quality of someone choosing whether to give the honest answer. Because, she said. In 4 years of Vethari noble banquets, you are the first person who sat beside me for the wrong reason rather than the right one. Everyone else sat beside me deliberately. To gain proximity to the house, to position themselves, to demonstrate alignment. You sat beside me because you needed somewhere to put your papers. She looked at him. I found this significantly more interesting. He considered this very carefully. I need to understand something, he said. The betrothal. In Vethari custom. What does it actually require of us? A formal engagement period of 90 days, she said, during which we are expected to conduct a series of formal and informal engagements. At the end of 90 days, both parties have the right to confirm or withdraw. Withdrawal at that point carries no cultural consequence. So I'm not actually trapped, he said. You're committed to 90 days, she said. After that you choose. He looked at her. At the armor and the ice-blue eyes and the woman who had watched him sit down for the wrong reason, and decided that was the most interesting thing she had seen in 4 years. The first formal engagement, he said. In Vethari custom, what does it typically involve? A joint public appearance at an event of cultural significance, she said. To establish the betrothal publicly. He paused. There is a music performance at the palace in 2 days. It would be appropriate. He thought about 90 days. About the cultural liaison's diplomatic concerns. About the Concordat's trade relationship with Vethari space. About a woman who had been surrounded by deliberate positioning for 4 years, and had let someone accidentally eat the betrothal bread because he was the first person to sit beside her without a calculation. 2 days, he said. Yes, she said. Would I need to know anything in advance about the performance? He said. Section numbers I should read. Something at the corner of her mauve lips moved in a direction that was not the composed, neutral expression she had maintained for the entire conversation. I'll send you the relevant briefing, she said. The specific sections. Not section 14, he said. All the sections this time, she said. He looked at her. She looked at him. All right, he said. 2 days. He stood. She adjusted the silver pauldron with the practiced ease of someone who had worn armor since childhood. She looked at him one more time at the door. Soren, she said. It was the first time she had used his name. Yes. You should know, she said, that the seat you chose. It has been empty at every banquet for 4 years. The standing position in the house is that it carries. She paused, with the specific quality of someone translating a cultural concept. An auspicious significance. He stared at her. You're telling me the wrong seat was the significant seat. I'm telling you, she said, that you may want to reconsider the word wrong. Left.